Welcome to my video presentation. I'm Lauren, and today I'm going to be doing a demonstration on the geologic processes of weathering, erosion, and deposition. Weathering is the process of breaking down rocks. There are two types of weathering, physical and chemical. Chemical weathering is when rocks are broken down by chemical reactions. Physical weathering is when rocks are broken down by mechanical processes, which is what I will be demonstrating today. The setup that I have is a baking sheet filled with sand that is raised up on one side to represent a hillside, with a river going into a lake at the bottom. I put some larger and smaller pebbles into the river to show a more natural landscape. The ice in the top left corner of the landscape represents a glacier. Here I am pouring water from a watering can into the river's source and letting it flow down the slope. We can see that the water is carving out the sides of the riverbed, which is weathering. The sand is carried by the water, which is the process of erosion, and then deposited into the mouth of the river. We can see that the water only carried the sand and smaller pebbles, but not the larger rocks, which is how rivers and other water sources are sorted into larger and smaller sediment sizes. This process can form detrital sedimentary rocks, which are formed out of weathered fragments from pre-existing rocks. What the water couldn't carry is left behind and becomes these rocks. To recap, weathering breaks the sediment, erosion carries the sediment, and deposition deposits the sediment in a new place. There are more ways that sediment can be weathered. Here I am using a hairdryer to blow hot air onto the ice cubes to simulate the melting of glaciers. As the glacier slowly melts, it moves downslope. Over time, the glaciers will move down the hillside, weathering down the sand and rocks beneath it and carrying the sediment somewhere else. This process can create landforms such as fjords, lateral and medial moraines, and U-shaped valleys. Another form of weathering is wind. To show this, I'm using the hairdryer to try and blow the sand around. The air from the hairdryer breaks down the sediment, erodes it, and deposits it. Similar to weathering and erosion from water, the wind only carries the smaller sand and pebbles, which ends up sorting the newly deposited sediment. Physical weathering breaks down and transforms rocks. Water, glaciers, and wind are all forms of physical weathering. Other forms of physical weathering include root and frost wedges, which also break down rock over time, but don't erode or deposit the sediment. This concludes my demonstration on weathering, erosion, and deposition. Thank you for watching.